Hi, my name is Flo, and in this video I want to talk to you about the current state of BMW. But first I want to ask you to subscribe to my channel and also hit the notification bell. It is much appreciated and it helps the channel a lot. Let's start. Some weeks ago I have sat in the brand new 1 Series and I straight come to the point. I need to say that the interior quality was not on the level of what competitors like Audi or Lexus do. At that price point I thought it was not good enough. I could not believe that some time ago some BMW people in Munich sat together in a meeting room and said, "That interior is good, release it like this." Also, I was thinking that again a piece of BMW history is now lost with the switch from rear-wheel drive to front-wheel drive with the new 1 Series. As well, the end of the inline-6 M140i is in my opinion a big loss. In the last days I thought, when was the last time you could buy a BMW and did not need to go for the higher end models or the biggest engine to come close to what BMW once stood for? For me it was around the year 2000, that's 20 years ago. I think at this time BMW was at its pinnacle, especially also at the lower price levels. Best in class driving, great build quality, excellent engines and nice looks. The 3 Series E46, the 5 Series E39, the 7 Series E38 and the first gen X5 E53. I once owned a used E38 7 Series, which was in pretty rough shape when I bought it, and to this day it is the only car I really regret selling. Why? Because despite having many defects, because of age and mileage, and needing countless repairs, it was still a quality item in many aspects. I have since test driven several BMWs in the last years, and none of it had especially a feeling of best in class. The only BMW I do not have much to criticize is the current generation 7 Series, but at this price point that should be normal. At my test drives I did get the impression that BMW just does enough to be as good as the competition, but it seems BMW does in no way try to be better than the competition. It seems the will of doing better than the competition is gone. In the last days I thought what BMW, in my opinion, did wrong in the last years. I would like to point out 6 topics that I think show this the most. First, the engines. BMW once stood for great engines, especially also in the lower horsepower levels. If you wanted, you could get a 3 Series with a small 2-liter inline-6. Or you could get a 5 Series or 7 Series with a small 3.5-liter V8. In Europe, you could get inline-6 diesel engines even at the lower horsepower levels. You could always get a more sophisticated engine than the competition, and on top of that, you could be sure that the engine was in most cases best in class. And my point is, BMW once seemed to actively offer the best possible engine in every price range. It was part of the BMW DNA, and now this is gone. You get 4-cylinder engines everywhere. Some models even come with 3 cylinders. And to be honest, these engines are not better than what the competition does. Today, every car manufacturer can develop a good 4-cylinder engine. To this day, I do not really understand why BMW is going the 3 and 4-cylinder route and left their unique selling point. No more inline-6s in the lower horsepower levels. People often say, yes, but the inline-6s are more expensive and the bean counters don't want BMW to go bust because their engines are too expensive. That is right, but would BMW really go under if, for example, a 320i would cost $2,000 more than today and it has the better engine? I think especially a BMW customer would be willing to pay, or in reality lease, the slight price difference. Toyota adds hybrid technology to almost every combustion engine. Subaru only produces boxer engines. Mazda is trying to reinvent the petrol engine with Skyactiv X. Why can't BMW allow itself to offer a more sophisticated engine than the competition when smaller companies like Mazda and Subaru can do it? My next point is the interior. A weakness of BMW for years and the reason for this video. I have a little story for you. In 2012, a good friend of mine ordered the by the time new 3 Series. I went to BMW to check the car out myself and chatted with a salesman. This was when the last Gen 1 Series was new, the first X1 was on the market, and as I said, the last Gen 3 Series was being introduced. He straight up told me not to consider these 3 cars. I personally knew that the interiors of these cars could not match my old 7 Series, but I would have never expected a BMW salesman confirm that. Not really BMWs anymore, he said. And he especially said the interior quality is not even close to what Audi does. He said he always tries to persuade his customers to go for a 5 Series with almost no options and a small engine, because in the end they will be happier with the 5 Series than a 1, 3 or X1 with a load of options. He said he wants the customers to return to him after the lease ended, and he has a better feeling that they do so with a 5 Series than anything below that. Let that sink in. A BMW salesman persuades customers to get at least a 5 Series, so he does not lose customers over inferior interior quality. But as I could confirm in the showroom and later saw it regularly with my friend's 3 Series, the salesman was right. The interior is not on par with the price point, and even today you can read it in many tests and reviews or experience it by yourself in the showroom. BMW's interior quality just is not on the same level than the competition, especially seeing what Mercedes and Volvo did in the last years. My next point is driving dynamics. Once you could be sure BMWs are the best driving cars in its respective class. But today, a Jaguar XE, an Alfa Romeo Giulia or a Genesis G70 drives in most cases as good as the 3 Series. There's not much difference anymore. They show they can do it too if they want. This, to be honest, could be expected because, to say it simplified, you just need to copy BMW's suspension tuning and technology. Understand it, tweak it and test drive it extensively and you will get there. So I can understand why BMW lost its advantage here. But I am always wondering if there could not have been ideas and technologies to achieve an advantage in driving dynamics over the competition. I am thinking in the direction of active suspension systems and trying to implement it in every BMW. Citroën is following this idea in form of the Advanced Comfort suspension system, which is better than a standard suspension but not as expensive as an active suspension system in their C4 and C5 models. The BMW engineers certainly have the expertise to further improve driving dynamics, but as with the engines, they seem to be forced to do less sophisticated and therefore cheaper solutions, which have allowed the competition to catch up. My next topic is in my opinion the biggest problem that BMW has right now. When you as a company sense that competition starts to close the gap to you, you need to find a new technology to get an advantage over the competition. And today this is the electric drivetrain. BMW was on the right way with the i3, the i8 and some early plug-in hybrids, which all have been released well ahead of a Model 3 or an e-tron or an EQC. Perhaps the i3 was even too advanced with its carbon fiber construction, interior layout and the range extender options. But for reasons we can only speculate, BMW did not build up their electric car lineup and therefore reputation as a manufacturer of competitive electric cars. In my opinion, seeing the risks they took with for example Bangle design, iDrive, 3 and 4 cylinders and the i3 and i8, it would have been logical for me that the one company that would have the balls to take on Tesla head-on is BMW. They are known for great engines, great driving dynamics and good infotainment, so it would have been the logical step to develop a great electric car and position it against Tesla. Imagine a world where an electric BMW sedan would battle head-to-head against a Model S, where iDrive would be more advanced than it is today and everyone is looking forward to the monthly over-the-air updates. I am sure BMW engineers could develop such a car, but they seem to have been stopped at some point. And there's a little story to tell you that many people don't know. A large part of the development team of the i3 and i8 left BMW in 2016 for the Chinese car manufacturer Byton. Carsten Breitfeld was the head of this team, and it is said he took half of its team with him to China. Half of its team. BMW never admitted that this was a problem, but I am convinced that the departure of these people did hurt the two projects and any upcoming electric car project. But what happened that managers and engineers, which worked for BMW for up to 20 years, left BMW and joined Byton? You need to know that a company like BMW pays exceptionally well here in Germany, especially when you are in a high position and/or work there for many years. So you do not need to leave the company because of money. Also, I think that the decision to leave Germany and work for a company in China involves in some cases even moving with your whole family. So what happened at BMW that the key people of the i3 and i8 projects, as well as several engineers, decided to work for Byton, in some cases even shifting their center of living from Bavaria to China? My guess is that some form of clash between the combustion fans at BMW and the electric fans at BMW happened. Probably at some point it was obvious that the electric cars would perform better than any combustion BMW, including the M cars. And I could imagine that some higher-ups would not allow the electric BMWs to be better than an M model. There have been rumors that the electric Mercedes B-Class from some years ago, which used Tesla technology, had to be detuned so it did not outperform higher-powered combustion Mercedes models. So perhaps something similar happened and the electric team was forced to slow down development or leave some performance on the table. Perhaps a Tesla Model S competitor was cancelled, or just nobody in the combustion-focused company of BMW took the electric car team serious and made fun of them. No matter what it was, it must have been pretty severe, and in the end half of the team left BMW for Byton. It seems they saw no future for themselves and their ideas at BMW. Imagine what needs to happen in your job that you and half of your co-workers leave the company. And now, here we are, 4 years later, and the electric Mini is an underwhelming product. The i3 did not really took off, the i8 got cancelled, and the upcoming electric X3 needs to be on Tesla levels to be taken seriously. Looking at the EQC and e-tron, I am not convinced that the upcoming electric X3 will be a competitive offer. Also, the upcoming i4 needs to hold its promises or better exceed it, because development at Tesla does not stand still. BMW had it all in their hands. They had been one of the first, but they have gambled it away. Another point that in my opinion shows that BMW is not really BMW anymore is the whole entry-level lineup. 1 Series, 2 Series, X1 and X2. I think it was not the best idea to leave the rear-wheel drive platform, ending its unique selling point. But at this entry-level price I can accept it for cost reasons. The sharing with Mini also helps here. But what I can't accept is that these cars in no way drive better than the competition. I have read tests that went as far as saying that a 2 Series Active Tourer suspension setup is as good as the setup of a Toyota Prius on the new TNGA platform, which even the tester said is really surprising. Another weakness of these entry-level cars is again the interior quality. Comparing the new 1 Series with the new A-Class or the upcoming A3 shows that these entry-level BMWs did not get any love from BMW. These cars can't do anything particularly good, but they should be good at least some points because they are representing a premium product. BMW does not seem to care, and the whole BMW entry-level lineup, at least here in Germany, has, in my impression, evolved into a throwaway product. You can get a 1 Series leased for the same price as a Toyota Corolla. The BMW X1 evolved into the go-to choice as the first company car your employer offers you here in Germany. It's cheap as hell for your employer, and he can proudly tell you you have gotten a BMW from him. These cars are so cheap to lease, car rental companies throw them at you all the time. BMW dealers try to outbid each other with the lowest lease rates of these cars. BMW managed to develop these cars with no passion at all, and now they need to sell them as cheap as a non-premium product. And as the new 1 Series did not improve a bit, BMW seems to be happy the way it is. Cars like the Lexus UX, Mercedes A-Class, the new Audi A3, the Volvo XC40 or the Jaguar E-Pace all have gotten more love from the manufacturers than the entry-level BMW lineup. This is also a way to destroy your image and reputation. As my video is already long enough, just one last point that BMW did and is doing wrong in my opinion: the design. I think the Bangle design era did not do BMW a favor. It was not an evolution of the previous, in my eyes very elegant design, it was more or less a cut. BMW tried to look modern, but the Bangle design did not age well. Whilst an E38 still looks elegant today, an E65 looks just weird. Decisions like this did surely cost customers an image. And now they seem to move to even bigger grills. Why? Because Audi, Lexus and Genesis do so? Does BMW not have any self-confidence? Do they again need to do what others do? I have read BMW does this because of the Chinese market. Because the customers there want that everybody sees from far away that you drive a BMW. Even if this is true, is this really the one and only goal of BMW's whole design language now, seen from far away? There are many more aspects of BMW that make you wonder. For example, why are they still rather unreliable cars? What is the identity of this Z4? Is it a GT or is it a sports car? When do we get a real sports car from BMW? Why has Mercedes more AMGs than BMW has M models? Why did it take 2 generations of Mercedes GLS until the X7 was released? What was the point of the 3 Series GT and 6 Series GT? Why do more and more people say an Alpina is the better M car? And why was there a need to change the BMW logo recently? Financially, BMW is still doing well. But how long will that be? BMW is under pressure from all sides. Tesla is hitting hard. Lexus is doing just fine with a way smaller lineup. Lincoln restarts with nice looking cars. Genesis is increasing the pressure, and the Chinese car manufacturers surely also want a piece of the cake. Old brand values may have a lasting effect on the image and lead to sales today, but BMW needs to clearly remember that the sales of yesterday cannot pay the bills of tomorrow. It takes decades to build an image as solid as BMW's, and in my opinion, BMW should not think that they can do everything with its brand without any damage. Changing things almost everywhere without having an eye on where you came from is dangerous. I lack the feeling of inner peace and self-confidence BMW once had. Many business decisions of BMW seem to be geared to the moment and not how we look at these decisions tomorrow. So that's it from me, and let me know what you think about the state of BMW. And please like, share, subscribe and also hit the notification bell as more videos are coming soon.